So we play the two Eldlich here, pretty basic. We don't want to be having extra bricks, so I think the 2 is a great number to be using. We use 1 black. I'm not using white, I'm using all the black because I want to be getting directly from the deck to the field. I don't want to be having to be dealing with my graveyard. 3 card settlers, standard, 3 elixirs. These are engines, pretty much to be searching about the Golden Lord or extra, in the card settlement situation, extra traps to my hand to be comboing with the Golden Lord. Conquistador to pop. And I'm using 2 Hakueros. Reason why, pretty much not every deck I want to mess with their graves, and usually Hakuero is the target that I want to be sent to the grave in order to be using actually the Elixir, to get the Elixir back. Usually, the most important of the traps card here is the Conquistador because you can interrupt many plays on your opponent's field. So that's all with the Golden Lord engine. This deck is pretty much divided into engines. So this one was the Golden Lord. This here is the Dogmatika engine. So we have 3 Ecclesias, our Searcher. We are using 2 Fleur-de-Lis. Pretty much. Usually you can even run 1. I'm using 2 because there are situations that actually you have to mill 1 from your deck to the grave, or you want to be having the extra interruptions. Maybe you summon Fleur-de-Lis and Ecclesia, for example, and the Fleur-de-Lis is +1 interruption in your hand for later. So your Fleur-de-Lis can be used kinda as a hand trap also. Then Nadir Servant, the biggest core actually of this deck, synergizes great with the extra deck, a great searcher in general. We search Ecclesia and Fleur-de-Lis, mostly Ecclesia because we are going +1 after that. A tip for everyone who is using Nadir Servant is pretty much that you have to be using it as last as possible on your turn to bait the ashes before you can do, because it's the most important core of your deck kinda. 1 punishment. I don't run more punishments because the problem with this trap card, though it's great, you can go you can kill 2 cards on your opponent's field. The problem with punishment is that it locks you out of the extra deck, and there are situations and matchups that you want to be going to your extra deck on your next turn. So I run on 1 here. That's it with the Dogmatika engine. Now we go to the...
Before you pass, I have a question actually.
Yeah.
Why no Maximus?
Yeah. I don't use Maximus because obviously many people have realized how they want to play against Dogmatika. They're siding like Mekaba and Nova. So I don't want to be giving them a free interrupt on their board. So that's the reason also why I didn't stick entirely to the Dogmatika deck, because there are flaws that can exploit the deck, and that's what keeps the deck from being actually tier 1 deck. Now we'll go to the Rokket engine. 3 Tracer, 1 Recharger. The Recharger is pretty much the card that you are searching from the Tracer effects. The Tracer is the card that is the most important here. I'll explain later why. You're searching it with the Quick Launch, Casual Rokket, and 1 Boot Sector. This will be your target from the Striker. These are your searchers. That goes here, and this is how you want to be playing here. Usually you want to use this Rokket engine only to search your synchros. So I'll show later what synchros I'm using and why you are using this engine here. So for hand traps, I'm running actually 9. And if you can count Fleur-de-Lis kind of as a hand trap, you are having basically your 11 hand traps. But still, I'm using 3 Ash Blossom, pretty standard. I prefer Dronelock a lot. Many decks right now, they're getting plenty of cards in their hands. So for example, versus Dinos, versus Dragon Links, versus some invoked players, Dronelock actually is a great meta hand trap to use. And then I'm using 2 Imperms and 1 Veiler. The reason why I'm not using the 3 Imperms is because I'm using Selene in this deck. I will explain later, and Kalki Fibrax is a good target for Effect Veiler, and I can link up to Selene, and eventually I can link up to Access Code. So that's the reason why there are no 3 Infinite, and there is a Veiler here. And for in the end, I'm using 3 Extravagances. I know I said I play with the extra deck a lot, but there's a reason why I'm having most of the cards twice in the extra deck. It's a great extender, a great draw power, and also something to check on your opponent if he's using Ash Blossom. So if If it does us here, that means you can have a potential free Nadir servant if you have it in your hand. And then I'm using triple tactics talent. This is not mandatory here. I think you can go instead of 45, you can go to 43 by not using triple tactics talent. But for exactly the same reason that if you pot of extravagance, they use us, then you have a triple tactics talent. Either check his hand if you have enough extenders, or you can just use tactics talent in order to just go +2 that they denied you with pot of extravagance. And now for the extra deck.
No.
What?
I was just thinking about something.
Okay. I start with links or?
Oh,
yeah.
It's okay.
3 striker dragons. This is our part of the Rokket engine. Pretty much, you want to be bringing 1 tracer, striker dragon, get your boot sector, then striker dragon pops himself. You get your Rokket back. If it's tracer, it's the best. And boot sector, and you special summon, and you're having your free level 8 synchro. That's why you're running 3. Usually you need 1, but pot of extravagance targets, you might actually miss this engine. Then we go to Hulky Fibrax, 1 Hulky Fibrax. This is basically, in case something happens with the striker dragons, you can be summoning a tracer plus Ecclesia and potentially be reaching this point. And this guy brings the Veiler, that after that brings Celine. Something important for the players to understand is that all Dogmatika cards are spellcasters, so you don't need necessarily this to do it. What you need is pretty much a spellcaster, and just you go to Celine after that. And since you want to scale up, then this is the access code talker that you can be having in the end of the combo. So it's a great for going second in specific matchups. Also for link 3s, I'm using also Blackluster Soldier. Actually this card, because usually you end up in some boards that you're having a Golden Lord, a Fleur de Lis and Ecclesia. This is a great card to use and cause big issues to your opponent. Usually I use the -1 card on field effect, and yeah, pretty much Soldier is really good to have here. Now to the fusions. I'm using 2 Titanclads. This is my Nadir servant target if I'm going first most of the time, because it will give me Fleur de Lis at the end of the turn. I'm using the 2. Normally 1 is enough, but using 2 for pot of extravagance. If there is another way of having more draw power in your deck, you can just run on 1 and just replace the Titanclad with something else here. Triple NTSS. This is pretty much the target that you want to be having when you're going second and you want to activate the Nadir, so you can pop at least, you can pop 1 card also on your opponent. Usually, because this deck struggles with the back row, NTSS can help a lot dealing with the back rows here. And now in the end, I'm using 2 Chaos Ruler. This is actually what makes this deck really fun to play and really interesting actually. So the Rokket Tracer, the Rokket Engine usually want to lead you on this card here. And then you're just coming to check the next 5 cards. And the Eldlich, Dogmatikas, all of them are light, and some of the hand traps as well. So you're kind of guaranteed that you will be getting 1, and same time milling cards from the deck to the graveyard. And if you manage to mill also Eldlich cards, that means Eldlich trap cards or spell cards will have special effects on the graveyard. So that's why you run 2. Because usually this is your go-to if you're first on the duel. Also, something important to mention is that the Chaos Ruler has the effect of bringing back himself from the grave. And since you're playing Tracer and you're playing light attributes, it's really easy to be bringing back and going for Link Summons also here. Plus a 3000 body. And last one, Borderlord Savage Dragon. There are situations that you can end up punishments and Blackluster Soldier to the grave, and then with your Rokket Engine you can lead to Borderlord Savage, and you're getting Blackluster Soldier there, and you're having 3 counters on Borderlord, and you're having a boss master of 4.5k, so that's why I'm using this here.
Okay, thank you for the deck profile.
That's the end, thank you.